As long as the footwork is timed with the hands, all right, you can do whatever you want. Timing on the step, timing on the shuffle, and then on the pivot. Hi guys, welcome back to Ride Out MMA. My name's Connor. Today we're going to be going over some ladder drills. We're going to be learning how to shuffle so we can move like Lomachenko. Make sure you watch to the end so you can time this with your punches and set up some really cool combinations. It all starts with the footwork though, so let's check out the ladder. Okay, so today we're going to be going over the shuffle. So the shuffle is a piece of footwork where we're going to be bringing our feet together and floating through. So to first learn it, we need to start with just moving our feet, almost like a walk with it, rather than getting right into the flow and the jumping around and all of that quicker, more advanced versions of this movement. So just to start, I call this the 3-step when I'm teaching it to beginners. So the 3-step, your first foot goes into the ladder, the second foot follows inside, and the first foot that steps in goes out to the opposite side. From there, right, your inside foot is now going to step forward, and then again, the outside foot comes together, and then you're out again on the opposite side. So you get this sequence going in, out, in, out. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. And then you try to do it with a little bit of rhythm. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. And don't worry about anything else until the feet get moving a little bit. And you get this really nice rhythm going. And try to do it like you're doing it to music, so it's not clunky and sort of disjointed. We want to flow as best as we can when we're doing this footwork. All right, then you pick up the pace a little bit, stay on the balls of your feet a little bit more, and stay tight to the ladder the entire time. You don't want to go super far out. And even when you're doing this movement too, I like feeling like I'm zigzagging my way up the ladder. So I'm not moving backwards at any point. Every movement brings me up. I'm staying on the balls of my feet, trying to flow forward. So that's sort of the first step to learning this footwork. Where it gets a little bit more complicated is when we try to do it with rhythm. So, and a little bit more flow and more realistic to what it would look like in the fight, or if you're applying it for a technique. So my foot steps in again, exact same footwork we just did. We're going to kind of just play with the rhythm a little bit. So my first foot steps in, and now I'm going to float through and sort of wrap my way around the ladder. So I go step, float through, step, float through. And it's a skip, really. So I get that second part down. You can see how the rhythm has changed a little bit, but the footwork is the exact same. Again, and I'm floating my way through the ladder. All right, and that's sort of step 2. And that part can be a little bit more difficult than it even looks if you've never done footwork like this before. The second part, all right, we want to start making ourselves look like a fighter. So my hands will be up, all right, my elbows in, exactly how I hold my usual stance. All right, and now I'm going to keep my guard the entire time. All right, now we're starting to move like a fighter a little bit. And when I'm doing this first movement, I'm not worrying about weight transfer all too much. I'm just focusing on having good feet and maintaining this part. To get into the next piece, right, if we want to be throwing punches off of this, we need to understand weight transfer. So, right, going back to the initial footwork that we just learned, all right, my first foot steps in, I'm going to bring my weight into the box. All right, so you can see I have weight on that foot that just stepped inside the box. All right, when I do this shuffle through, I'm going to transfer my weight to the other foot. So you see what I did there. All right, I was inside the box as if I just slipped a punch. All right, my weight is on top of this foot. I shuffle through. Now my weight is on top of the other foot. And from this point, to really get the real feeling of the punch, or the real feeling of what the punch would be, all right, I pivot with the foot inside. Boom. And you can see where we're going with it now. Now off of that, I go back, stepping forward. Weights inside the box again. Shuffle through. Weights on the other foot, but still inside the box. Pivot. Take yourself out. Weights over here. Now I go back in. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. And I'm pivoting my feet. 1, 2, 3. All right, and you see the flow starting to happen. All right, moving a little bit more like a boxer, a fighter. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. All right, head's constantly moving offline. And I'm maintaining the footwork the entire time. And until you get, right, the flow of just doing the shuffle, all right, you're not going to be able to do that part. So make sure you get the footwork down first. That's what this is all about in the long run. So if I want to be throwing punches off of this movement now, I've taken my weight into the box. Again, right, just like we were just doing. My hands are up. I feel my weight inside. I'm going to shuffle through. Boom. My weight is still inside the box, right, but just on the opposite foot. And from this point, I'm going to pivot and throw my punch. Now that was the exact same movement, just with a punch at the end. I went 1, 2, 3. All right, now with the punch, it's 1, 2, 3, and punch. Now, as that punch comes back, I'm going to take a step forward. I'm in the box again. I shuffle through, pivot and punch. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Now I can flow. And everything is the exact same. And I'm getting 3 fundamental pieces of footwork there. I'm getting the step. I'm getting the shuffle. And now I'm finishing off with a pivot. 1, 2, 3. Step, shuffle, pivot, step, shuffle, pivot, all the way to the finish. So I've taken that first step into the box. I shuffle through. Now I can switch it to whatever punch that I want off of this side. It can be an uppercut. It can be a shovel hook to the body. It could be a hook to the head. And then it can be the straight that we were just doing. It can be an overhand as well. Right, I've loaded everything on that side. And as it comes back, I'm ready for my next piece of footwork. Now watch how I mix up my punches while still maintaining the integrity of the footwork. That part gets a little bit harder, but easy to do once you get the footwork done. All right, but with this footwork as well, we can add a strike to every piece of it. So there's 3 pieces of footwork. That means there's 3 potential strikes that we could throw. So to better understand this again, on the step, all right, I can throw a strike off of that as I step, opposite to the foot that is stepping. So if I step my right foot, boom, I can snap my left punch, whatever I want. They flow together. Now on the shuffle, all right, which is really common, you can throw a hook. And you can see how those are paired together perfectly in sequence. And then again, like we just mentioned, all right, the pivot at the end, which is very easy to throw a strike off of. So we can get this really, really nice flow where there's no break in the rhythm at all. And every piece of footwork is timed with a strike. So just to show that, for example, I'm going to throw them all with straights. I can go again, right, my straight. I shuffle, throw a jab. Pivot, throw my cross. Step. 1, 2, 3. All right, and the footwork is being maintained the entire time. And I'm not losing the quality of my punches either. It could be all hooks. All right, footwork's the exact same. Now I'm switching up my strikes. It could be all uppercuts. Oh, missed one there. Looks a little bit weird, but still works. All right, and then it could be whatever we want. All right, I'm gonna mix it up. As long as the footwork is timed with the hands, all right, you can do whatever you want. Timing on the step, timing on the shuffle, and then on the pivot.
Are you going on a beard?
Neck beard.
You look like one of those Utah.
Oh, like an Amish guy, or?
Yeah, you look like an Amish guy.
Yeah, I was going for like Dagestani, right? So if you want to use this footwork to look like Lomachenko, then we can add a feint to it. In the exact same way that I just shown it, on the step, you throw a feint to the outside. You basically say like, hey, look over here, even though you're already getting your body to move that way. All right, we get our opponent's gaze to move this way. It's basically just a hook feint, right? They imagine something coming to the sides of the head, right? You kind of get their lizard brain freaking out, seeing patterns that they've seen before. All right, you take a step, all right, you feint to the outside, you shuffle through, boom, and then you finish off with whatever strike you want to throw. Now we can go back the other way. Feint, look over there, shuffle through, boom, finish off with your strike. Feint, shuffle through, pivot, feint, shuffle through, pivot. You just need to do the feint on the step. Look at that. Look over here. The most complicated application of this footwork is if we wanted to step off of it, maybe move into a 1-2. So to better explain and show that, all right, I take my first step into the box, I shuffle through, and now I want to continue to move forward versus continue to shuffle. I need to step with the first foot that just went out, boom, right, on the shuffle into my, let's say, jab cross. I step, I shuffle through, and then I'm going to move into a jab cross. Step, shuffle through, 2, 3, 4. So I'm basically just covering an extra box with this technique. But this one is really, really hard to do in sequence. Oh, even there, screwed it up. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1. Can't even talk while I do it. That again. So that is basically everything that you need to know about learning the shuffle on the ladder and with some really cool applications. Make sure you like and subscribe to the channel, all that good stuff, and we'll see you next time.